hard to be a career woman in a, especially women in a law firm are in a man's world, and you want to feel sexy and you want to feel beautiful, but you want to be taken seriously. And Dan sort of figured that out, and I think it's helped a lot of people redefine their wardrobes and feel more secure in the workplace, which is fabulous.
Now, Julianna.
One last thing about that, though, is he really bases it off the narrative. I mean, he's always Michelle and he are in constant conversation about what the story needs. So it's not like just throwing pretty clothes at a problem. It's like he thinks from what a woman's closet or a man's closet or a killer's closet would look like.
No, he is so smart about that. I mean, and the things that Alicia's wearing third season are different than first season because she's in a different place in terms of what she can spend, how comfortable she is with her sexuality and every other part of herself. So, I mean, as you say, it follows the narrative and
he's the one who obsesses on the details, like what departmental correction outfit, what color they wear. And he says, I don't give a, whatever. But he's always like, oh, no, that's not what they would wear in Cook County. They would blah, blah,
Orange is not the color there, right? I was going to, Julianna, go back to something that, a decision you made a while ago in your career, but I know you talked about it not that long ago in a commencement speech that you gave at Sarah Lawrence. And it was, obviously where you were most initially well known from was ER, and how after 6 seasons, the network offered her $27 million to stay on the show, which you turned down. And you talk about that decision, and I thought it was a wonderful moment. So maybe if you could just talk about that.
Oh, well, the reason I brought it up in the commencement speech was because I've never made a monetary decision in my life. I wanted the kids to go out into the world being passionate about what they do and to not be afraid to take risks, because they always pay off in the end if your heart is in it. And so that's really why I brought it up in the commencement speech.
But everybody thought you were insane for turning that down.
And that was also, yes, everyone thought I was insane. I mean,
except your father. Right?
Except my father. My father was the one person who said, if you get hit by a bus tomorrow and die, will you have been glad that you were waiting for 3 years of your life to go by to get rich and not go and do what you wanted to do? And I mean, I wasn't stupid. I'm a smart girl. I had money in the bank. I owned my home. I was 32 years old. I had a year's worth of work ahead of me. I was about to go do a huge miniseries that I was getting paid more money than I could ever imagine. I mean, it wasn't as if I was saying goodbye to money and hello poverty, or that I was saying I'm going to go off and be a big movie star. I missed New York. I'm from here. I felt like a fish out of water there. And I wasn't... My character on that show, I loved so much, but she was tied to George Clooney. And George Clooney left. And I thought it was so respectful to the characters to have those characters go off into the sunset. Honestly, I really felt like if I stayed, I would have been the girl that just slept with any Tom, Dick, and Harry that came into the hospital. And I didn't want to leave her that way. I loved that character. So I wanted the kids that I was talking to understand that, yes, listen, I love money. Please. I really appreciate that I can put my child through college now. Thank you, good wife. But I also, I also know how to waitress. And I'm not going to sell myself for something I don't believe in. And I wanted them to feel that they could do that too, even though you get ridiculed and people can rake you over the coals for it. And that's okay. But the biggest thing I learned from that whole scenario, when I saw all the backlash from it, on my treadmill watching some stupid talk show, who does she think she is kind of thing, was when I called my father again in tears saying, oh my God, why is the world even talking about my paycheck? Like, I grew up, you didn't ask a woman her age, or you didn't ask anyone what they made. Like, it was so gauche. And he said, because you just turned down the American dream. And so by you saying no to that makes them feel less than, because no one on that panel or whoever it was making fun of me could have said that. So in order to feel better about themselves, they had to ridicule me, which I get, it's fine. But I just wanted these kids to understand that it's okay. Do what you love. Don't do what other people love. That was my message to them. And it's worked out great.
It's nice when that has a happy ending, that story. Now, if I'm correct, both of your fathers worked in advertising, right? So, I mean, it's interesting when you're talking about how your father said to you, you rejected the American dream. Of course, advertising is what creates or molds our conceptions of what the American dream is. I mean, how much do you think, you know, that background, did that kind of push you into acting at all? What made that connection?
You go.
I'll take it. I don't know if well, both my parents are creative people and were very supportive of me, you know, stepping into a creative life, which I knew I wanted to do at an early age for some reason. It just happened. In fact, so one of your colleagues was a counselor of mine at a theater camp and just showed me a picture of myself backstage from 1984 or 83.
He looks exactly the same.
So for some reason, I always knew I wanted to do that since I was a kid, but I don't know if that's what pushed me into it, to answer your question. I know that I felt a lot of support, and you know, and that obviously felt really great, because a lot of my friends, you know, who've had, you know, who've joined this profession, not all of them have been as supported by their families. So I feel very blessed and lucky in that regard.
I actually didn't think I wanted to be a lawyer.
And now you get to be one.
Now I get to be one. My grandmother was a lawyer, and I thought it was such a wonderful career choice, and I was very in awe of her. And I went to when I went to Sarah Lawrence, I had a very heavy academic schedule, and I took theater as just a way, because I'd always done it my whole life, and I just thought it was a good way to get a little bit of artistic, my artistic yayas out. And I got cast in a Baum and Gilead play, David Ray play, Baum and Gilead, my freshman year. And I was just a go-go dancer in a cage, but I just remember this moment of being on stage, and it just hit me. That was it. I couldn't do anything else. I just remember that feeling. I still can smell that theater. That was it.
Christine, did you have a moment like that when you kind of realized this was the life for you?
Yeah, I can so relate to what Julianna's saying, because I did play in high school, and I could just feel it's a kind of magical, mystical thing, and it was clearly a vocation, and then it's always been a vocation. It was like age 16 and still here, so great. Yeah.
Well, of course, you've been on the New York stage a lot, and all of you have kind of interspersed being in theater along with TV and movies. Do you find that kind of mixing it up like that is very energizing or invigorating in terms of your acting skills?
Yeah, it's the dream. I mean, it's the one downside of a network TV show is just the length of the schedule, unlike a cable show where they maybe make 8 to 13 of them and have a nice chunk of time to do a play or film. We work, you know, over...
Or go on vacation.
Yeah, or just, we work over 9 months, so it's hard to sort of cram something else in the hiatus period. But it was so nice when you played the clip to actually hear people laughing at moments, because we film them in a vacuum. Right. You know, and when you watch TV, it's me and my girlfriend. I mean, she laughs, but not that much. So it was nice to actually, did you feel that? It was like to see, you know, Christine get a laugh, or the, you know, at lunch get a laugh. It's like, oh, wow. And that's really, it struck me when I watched that. I was like, that's what the theater is about, is just feeling that connection of realizing that the moments that you're having and the character and what's going on is actually connecting immediately with somebody. And you do miss that sometimes in TV, but what you miss in that, you make up for just riding the subway and having everybody tell you how they feel about everything. Buy you on Sunday nights!
Oh my God, the hate mail.
Well, I read that you guys occasionally kind of peek in on audience chat rooms to see how your fans are responding to things.
Really?
Yeah, last year. Part of it is because the advantage of network over cable is we're shooting as we're showing them. So we're shooting right now the 15th episode. What shows Sunday is the 12th episode. So you can kind of get a sense as people are watching it what they're reacting to and what